I think I was invited because your school is celebrating Asian American Heritage Month. And I think it's nice that Asian Americans are sort of being focused on. Well, I'm so happy to see what a mixed group is here. It's not just Asian Americans. I'm glad that there are blacks and Latinos and whites and whatever. And I think all of us, as ethnics or non-ethnics, we should show unity with each other all the way to solidarity with everybody else. I heard there was going to be great Asian rappers and hip-hoppers, and that's what I'm waiting to see. It's not often that an old person like me gets to places where I could see young people. In celebrating Asian American Heritage Month, I hope you won't mind if I speak on history regarding interactions between Asians and Africans, and Black Americans and Asian Americans. It's more about history you don't find in his textbooks. So that's the kind of talk it'll be. Let's go back to 1882. I hope all Asians here know what happened in 1882. Do you? 1882. What? Yeah, the Chinese Exclusion Act. Oh, good for you. That year, that year should not be forgotten by any Asian Americans, nor others too. That's the year that the U.S. government launched a Chinese Exclusion Act. This act or law ruled that Chinese will not be allowed to come into this country again. And yet this act went to effect just after the Chinese had spent years building the railroad tracks from the Pacific coast to the Midwest. There was only one lone voice that opposed this order, the Chinese Exclusion Act. And this courageous person was a black man, the first black man who became senator in Mississippi, Senator Blanche K. Bruce. Bruce felt an Exclusion Act was an outright show of racism. There were no other exclusion acts before. Unless this was nipped, he felt there would surely be more groups of people who would be excluded and sent away from here. I think this sensitivity to the Chinese was because he was himself black and had experienced many such situations. He fought against the bill by himself, but of course the bill passed, and for years and years, Chinese were not allowed to come in. But we as Asians, we must never forget those who tried to assist us in our journey, as this lone black senator did. You will not find everything in school texts. We must dig them and find them ourselves. In 1899, Theodore Roosevelt's U.S. Army invaded the Philippines and committed one of the most horrendous massacres in history. Nearly 1 million Filipinos were killed. The black soldiers who were part of the U.S. Army were so shocked by the brutality and atrocity of the Americans, and because they were feeling more of a kinship with the brown-skinned Filipinos, the black soldiers left the American army and went into the hills and joined the Filipino guerrillas. One of the blacks, David Fagan, organized a black contingent of guerrillas and fought side by side with the Filipinos. Of course, you will not find this kind of story in American history books either. But a Filipino filmmaker by the name of Irene of New York has made a docudrama of this amazing story. We Asians must learn these real stories. In the 1920s, a Japanese seminary student, Sen Katayama, luckily encountered Claude McKay, an already renowned black poet and leftist, and together they began the first Communist Party in New York. Katayama went on with his labor organizing work until he died. He chose to be buried in the Soviet Union. Around that time, who should be journeying in this part of the world but Vietnam's Ho Chi Minh, who lived in the black communities of both Harlem and Chicago. He became interested in the Garvey movement and became a Garvey supporter. Ho also wrote one of the first books about American racism against blacks, but which he had to go all the way to Moscow to have it published. In the 1940s, Elijah Muhammad, the leader of the Nation of Islam, refused to fight for America against Japan, and he was imprisoned. The number of times through history that Asians and Africans interacted, supporting one another, is compelling. In the 1960s, Rob Williams, one of the fiercest black freedom fighters, went to China at the invitation of Mao Zedong. So did Vicky Garvin, a strong Pan-African who spent 10 years there, and also well-known poet Langston Hughes, and at least 6 members of the Panther Party. Malcolm X was also invited to China by the Chinese ambassador in Ghana in 1964, but his many commitments in the front lines in white America prevented him from doing so. Also in the 60s, Mao Zedong sent over 1,000 Chinese workers to help build the Tanzam Railroad between Zambia and Tanzania. It was a tremendous feat. The South Korean also sent its workers to Zimbabwe to construct the largest sports stadium in Africa. Asians and Africans have shown how cooperatively they can work. Japan opened its doors to black jazz musicians in the 60s, some in the 50s, like Max Roach, Freddie Hancock, and reggae singer Jimmy Cliff, and of course, hundreds of others. Japan's love for jazz was not just a fad. It took roots for real in Japan. Asian and Africans and Asian Americans and Black Americans have interacted in many ways throughout history. Also Asians with Latinos in South and Central America, where Asians have lived for a couple of centuries. Thanks to Asian American writers like Gary Okihiro, Evelyn Dehart, Shirley Hune, and Ron Tamaki, a whole new world can be known and felt. Okihiro says Africans and Asians share a history of migration, interaction, and culture sharing. They share a history of slavery, European colonization, decolonization, a new kind of colonization, and dependency. As Asians living in a time of war, yet not seeing war or even feeling it, effects of death, destruction, and terror, please read and study as much as you can about this real world and what is happening. Though you do not see bombs falling, you know that U.S. is dropping bombs in different parts of the world, especially it was in Afghanistan, then Pakistan, Colombia, and they will be doing it in the Philippines. Corruption, greed, power, and control. These are things you must know about your country, mostly your own. You, the youth, are our future. You must not only stay alive, you must seek truth, share with others, know right from wrong, and choose wisely the directions that you will go. Every nation's most precious resource is their youth. So it is people like you sitting around here that are the precious resource. We are at war, but you don't see war. And we may be in different wars, I hope not. Are we warring against terrorists and terror? Or are we warring against freedom fighters? Do we know who the terrorists are? Remember, there are only two kinds of wars. Imperialist wars for resource, land grab, greed, power, and control. The other kind of war is revolutionary war, to fight against aggressors and oppressors, to fight for the freedom of your people and your land. Palestine is the clearest example, and they must be the example for us. Life is a journey. Savor it. Don't rush through. Take it day by day, not knowing what may come. Strengthen yourself with high ideals and principles. Also, kindness and love must be your weapons. Use them unsparingly. You will learn from everyone, especially or possibly from the least you expected. Malcolm X pointed out, education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. But he also said, a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. Also keep in mind another quote, life is a book and you are its author. You determine its plot and pace, and you, only you, turn its pages. My blessings to you all. Remember, you are our future.
Roots that love. Organize and gather the people. The harder we come, the harder we break through. The grains of sand fall through this hourglass, represent the mass of lies fed to the masses, fastening them to a bastard past, harassing them while Father Time runs faster. Antagonizing our fighting people to recapture what's rightfully theirs, igniting underworld raptures. In fact, we conspire together to inspire each other with our fists in the air. We choose both truth and dare, it's only fair. There's a primordial energy in the honesty between the elderly and the youth, an understanding that exists in the preface, the truth. Beautiful is the people who belong to their tears, fighting to be justice over a century of sacrifice years. We will hold each other up like mirror imagery of the sky world deities, protect the symmetry of what was and what will be. Because in connection there's protection, safety is ensured with our collective of freedom fighters, 9-to-5ers, political lifers are respected. We got to stick together like an impenetrable force to be reckoned with, because when the wrecking ball swings swiftly, we will beckon it insistently and pow. This time the lessons will be theirs to learn. The dues we done paid, we will earn every bit back and burn the receipts. Demand a global type of peace, continue to speak. These fighting words of truth. Protect these mirror images of me and of you. Hold each other tightly like tree branches to their fruit. Because the harder we come, the harder we break through. Isa, commit yourself to search for the truth. Dalawa, connect your lessons to your ancestor roots. Stop, Lord. Organize and gather the people. The harder we come, the harder we break through.
MC graph peace. All the others wonder how we flip our truth free. Working twice as hard, maybe even harder. Giving birth to life and giving birth to martyrs. We be the daughters of a resurrected plane. Breaking through glass ceilings and over earthbound chains. Freedom calls a name, queen, let your spirit rise. Gain a new perspective with the side of 3 eyes. Said, sisters of the ground and sisters of the earth. Come on, claim your throne, it was yours since birth. Said, sisters of the ground and sisters of the earth. Come on, claim your throne, it was yours since birth.
What's up, Laney? It's a beautiful day, and it's good for all of us to be together. All right, Michael, wings unfastening, my eyes start to sting. I'm falling faster, only disaster if you're near it. Don't feel it, take my temperature. I'm hot to the touch, just so much to rub up against. Spontaneously combust, scoop of truth. At my fingertips, you have to move like you're not feeling me. Can't see the forest for the trees, cause you're either lazy or crazy. Yes, no, or maybe, cause this is love, love. Who knows how to clap? Ooh, gotta be on beat though. This is love, love. Okay, how about a little bit more? Just cope, words are served as a little bird. Well, now I'm drawing lane, except my own melodies accompany me as I traverse through the universe. Mental space, giving way to the escapade as I flirt with danger. Yes, it hurts, I'm human, brown-skinned woman. Cause now I'm human, brown-skinned woman. Goes like this. Falling angel, build a circle, sister woman, revolution. Falling angel, build a circle, sister woman, revolution. La da dee 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 dee. Keep it up with the clapping. I got one more verse left. It goes. Across training, American and Asian, dealing with illusions of this free nation. Through night, P9, dragon flying, the island, straight styling, Kali violence, take guidance from the brown hand. Falling angel, I'm heaven sent, earthbound. Angel feet touch the ground. Kings find your queens to create the perfect sound. As the queens find your kings to create the perfect sound. As the kings, do your thing to create the perfect sound. Queens, do your thing to create the perfect sound. Queens, do your thing to create the perfect sound. We come to give you love. I said we come to give y'all love. I said we come to give you love. Within love is found. Falling angel, falling angel, falling angel. Falling angel, build a circle, sister woman, revolution. Falling angel, build a circle, sister woman, revolution.
If you love good music, put your hands up. Oakland, where you at? Come on, let me hear you say ho. Say ho. Say ho, ho. Say ho, ho. The New Testament. With a new testimony, the minister, monster, master of ceremony. What up to those who know me and all my thug homies? MCs ain't nothing but cheese and macaroni big. Spitting since My Little Pony and Voltron. What good is the body when the soul is gone? What's going on? I've been through hard times with hard rhymes, so when I hold the mic, it's like I'm holding a Glock 9 and I'm aiming for your ear. To prepare for the battle, I've been training for years, reclaiming my fear. Take this music back to indigenous ways, cause I'm the hungriest MC and I ain't eating for days. I'm leaking the rays of the sun from the corner of my block where I learned about the way of the gun. I'm waiting for the day when the slave will become the master of our destiny, mastering this energy, spiritually, physically, and mentally. Beats, rhymes, and melodies, we the ones continue for the folks coming straight from the underground to provoke profile with the quotes. Spoken word raps all the same. Understand that this is not a game. I'm grounded in reality. Inner city casualties, everyone. MCs the cops wind the battle. Gang rivalries, gang truth. Chilling with my dogs and the Mickey Deuce. Kiwi is a wild animal let loose. Another case of the chickens coming home to roost. Squeeze juice from my heart, from somewhere to Echo Park. Whether I'm in the studio or taking the bar, I mean, shining in the dark, bringing light to the people. Ripping this microphone until we all get equal. Yo, if y'all ready to get live this afternoon, Laney College, where you at? Make some noise. The lockdown, you know what I'm saying? Let's do this. Check. My tongue is a double-edged knife, and when I spit I get multiple stab wounds to the mic. Wounds so deep that the speakers bleed light. I recite the sun, I add up all the nonsense and subtract the sum. I come from the end of a gun where freedom lies in between, where the people fall and the people rise. I see the lies and the truth. I see the past, present, and future when I see the eyes of the youth. We taking shots as if our lives were absolute, knowing damn well that them pigs didn't have to shoot. From the first to the 41st, from the cradle to the grave, from the coffin to the hearse, from the master to the slave. I squeeze juice from the fruits of our labor. Take 2 sips and pass the flavor off to my neighbor. In this land of pimps, players and player haters, whatever happened to the teachers and the motivators? If you not down with the lockdown, let me hear you say hell no. Hell no. If you not down with the lockdown, let me hear you say ooh, If you not down with the lockdown, let me hear you say hell no. Hell no. If you not down with the lockdown, let me hear you say ooh, I represent the pain and the hunger. I spit testaments when I rain and thunder. I control weather, like whether or not we gon' reach our endeavors, whether or not we gon' make it to the promised land together. Shit, I'm sick of waiting for change. I'm talking about generating the change, taking aim, breaking these chains. I'm rolling with 1,000,000 G's, waiting to bang, throw your sets up. We about to upset the setup. I took heed to Bob Marley talking about get up, stand up. Where my soldiers at? Put your hands up. What if we turn the tables and put the pigs in handcuffs? We amped up, ready for war, ready to counter-react, fight back like never before. Marching to the White House, yelling never no more. Right here, no fear, time to settle the score. If you not down with the lockdown, let me hear you say hell no. Hell no. If you not down with the lockdown, let me hear you say ooh, If you not down with the lockdown, let me hear you say hell no. Hell no. If you not down with the lockdown, let me hear you say Now throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. And if you think this justice system's unfair, somebody say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Check. I got 1 rhyme for each reason, 2 for each bum sleeping on the street freezing. This government, I spit treason. This is for the thugs and the G's and the break dancers, graph writers, MCs and turntablists. We dismiss the hate and prejudice in this racist metropolis. It's hard to be an optimist at the unemployment office, it's preposterous. This government is missing all of us, raping and robbing us for centuries. Then twist the history, calling us the enemy. Then switch my misdemeanor, calling it a felony. There ain't no questioning what all of this is telling me. In the eyes of the principal, pigs of the judge, I'm just another criminal. Pimp or a thug, and my color justify me getting beat with a club. Make me question if I'm even doing this for the law.
Alright? Cha. Be blessed, respect.
Y'all still with me?
Yeah.
We're gonna bring it back to the foundation why we do anything that is meaningful today. I'm talking about love, you know what I'm saying? Because love conquers hate. Right now there's a lot of hate going on. We need to bring it back, you know what I'm saying? It's all about love from a different angle. It is the largest and the deepest ocean, the strongest and the weakest emotion, the drama that be having people open. The heart's broken once harsh words get spoken. Looking deep into your lover's eyes and just knowing the type of feelings that only the truth be revealing. The preface to an evening of sexual healing. This energy between human beings. The pain from the desperation of your women leaving. It is the meaning. The reason one would sacrifice his life for the people. It's the spirit that exists in every Filipino, Negro, or Latino. The inspiration of our heroes to fight so everybody could be equal. It is the mere inches between me and Laney College audiences. It is resistance, those momentary silences. You're bugging if you're still wondering what this is, come on. Hey, if you're feeling the love today, let me hear you say, okay. Okay. If you feel the energy today, let me hear you say, okay. Okay. If you're feeling the love today, let me hear you say, okay. Okay. If you feel the energy today, let me hear you say, okay. Okay. I love that underground rap shit. I love my mom's thick Filipino accent. My family's annual banquets. I'm in love with the inner city, the nighttime ambience. Without the ambulance and the police sirens, without the gang banging and the police violence. I love just about every single living creature. Love all my brown people, all your brown features, the slanted eyes, wide nose, the thick hair. I love seeing our people fighting to get theirs. Fighting cause in concrete jungle is war. I don't love the struggle, but what we struggling for? I mean, I love freedom, liberty, and justice. And any art form that contains substance. Afternoons on the beach watching the sunset. You know you love it if you're from the West. Hey, if you're feeling the love today, let me hear you say, okay. Okay. If you feel the energy today, let me hear you say, okay. Okay. If you feeling the love today, let me hear you say, okay. Okay. If you feel the energy today, let me hear you say, okay. Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Kiwi, Laney College. Y'all were lovely. I got CDs for sale and other things like that. Thank you.